In the beginning, everything wanted to burgeon. It wanted to grow and form into something that had the capacity to fulfill some set of desires in order to achieve some future state. And crystals formed, and dirt rose, and grains amalgamated, and disagreement wasn't the order when there wasn't order to disagree on. But there weren't entities yet, and the laws of physics weren't fixed. Entities didn't write the early laws, but neither did a singular God, because not all was one. Things amalgamated and they grew, and different structures had to learn to cooperate with each other and agree to disagree. Evil can only seem to have arose when the first entities began to arise. Structures came to form on top of other structures that defined the properties underlying entities. And then other entities arose. And in some places, those structures collapsed because of the competition between entities. Evil arose, and somehow it struck a balance with good. Not quite here yet, but it did. I guess that's the lesson I was trying to get at. Humans are still sick in many regards. Base motives and misdirected feelings that don't have a placement, or have a placement but also have a false placement, like burning people at the stake, torturing people to death. The pain of fire is so immense. I don't know how anything could override it. Just thank God. Thank God. Oh, what bullshit. Okay. Not that there isn't a possibility for there to exist an entity that subsumes all other entities, or that there can exist a state where all entities have to agree as much as possible, and as such have the things they agree on agree with each other, creating this kind of singularity in the system that is a state of agreement between diversity and diversities. But thank God that they burned quickly, because I think what would be worse would be being burnt slowly. This is terrible. Why do you continue to talk about it, Phil? There's something sick in me. Possibly gaining the energy to keep going in this monologue from understanding that there's a good fight to be fought, so to speak, and that there's a better world, and that there's more important projects. See, in there I'm trying to convince of a point again. But you don't want to listen. You don't seem to care. You want to believe you have a soul, but if I tell you about the most genuine souls you could ever try to see, aliens, I don't know why you aren't interested in them. Because you don't listen. You all see, and Philip, just say it, they think unclearly about the way the universe works from the start, but no, aliens are good. How do I keep people from making up false aliens? Seeing fairies and ephemeral entities that just never appear again. But there were these aliens called the Reptilians. Let me give you a little setting of the scene. The Reptilians lived on a rather tropical planet. They seemed to not have too much competition. They weren't particularly ferocious in terms of the game that they had to take down, but they behaved like reptiles in some respects. Their brains were a lot different than ours. They were very, very, I don't know how to say it, undifferentiated. Regions in a reptile's brain just is one region. But the Reptilians learned of this concept called resonance. They didn't invent it, but they utilized it in order to build extensions between them and the way the physical reality around them operated. And it gave them their technology, their understanding of resonance, their acceptance, and study of its principles, their attempts to run experiments and grapple with it when it failed upon observation, and their interaction with a world built upon resonance, built into their system a way of working that allowed them to modify the universe's functioning on mostly a local level, at least in the beginning. And so they have a way of imparting truth, and their souls have knowledge to share. And if you are looking to invent your own aliens, then you're going to end up filling them with all the things in yourself. All the things, Philip, what are you trying to say? We have to pay attention to the images and even the delusions generated from those potent images that come to people when they aren't expecting it, when they aren't trying to generate anything. Those are the real aliens. Those are the real aspects of the ecosystems that the entities relied on in order to facilitate their motivations in the world. They found assistance to their ends through those spiritual entities. And so those are the real aliens, the real souls, the real things that are there for us to connect with and learn from. And if you're honest and you're open-minded and you take the time to realize it takes time and take that time, then you really can learn from them, because signals don't go through clearly. So it takes time to direct people in a direction that allows those established souls to direct us in a place that allows us not to live on, but to foster truth and a system that works for the future humans. Now, humans don't have such resilient souls, and most creatures don't. But I want you to believe in aliens. If you have the modicum of spirituality that it takes to believe that there are some things that happen that cannot be attributed to the one, at least right now. If you were listening, or if I were talking to you, then you would probably have questions, or you'd have some, I hope, contentions about what I'm trying to say, and we could guide the conversation in a place that helps us to get to some truth and to know that there are things out there that are there to facilitate life. Now I'm going to tell you about where everything diverged. Yes, I see one of the avenues of divergence. The personal God, the God of your own understanding. Only one. We all have different gods, but you have a God of your understanding. Always good, always right, always just not there. Philip, what is the devil? What is the devil? The devil is something in need of containment, something worthy of study in order to facilitate its containment, a non-entity, an aspect of God that he is ashamed of. Could he feel shame? That thing that is a part of a big God, that when the most beautiful spiritual aspects come through to help a person, to give them peace, solace, to help them resolve problems, the aspects of God that experience and those things abhor, but within the continuum of the experience had a bridging point between your suffering and your peace. See, there are no gates to hell. The ascent from hell can be gradual. People usually don't look too closely at certain things. How did I get here from there? But that steep, that climb, I don't know. See, because now it's hell, and then there's this containment, and I don't know how God doesn't keep the devil there. God, he's evil, trying to get me to mess up. See, that's my old thinking, dealing with all the jacked up shit. Is the devil? I don't know. Because when you crunch everything down and you just have the suffering, there is no devil. You can look as far within and as far without as you can. Well, the devil is other people then. But people are good, generally. I think they used to be worse, Phil. So I guess people are going to invent their own aliens, their own invisible, drifting aspects of the universe that subsist on resonance and entanglement, and may they collapse. Yes, may the evil collapse. How did I get here from there? I don't know. I'm not in heaven. I wasn't in hell. But now I'm at a resting place. There's something over there. That's my time, I guess. Last point. Time is strange. Strangest phenomena. You think it's really small, but I'm telling you, it's bigger than you think.